NASCAR history is going to forever showcase Matt Kenseth as the DeWalt driver. For all but 7 of his full-time seasons, the tool company straight out of Maryland has been a sponsor for the driver hailing from Wisconsin. For 18 of his victories, DeWalt, or their partnership with Carhartt, has been the sponsor gracing the hood, which included the 2009 Daytona 500. When future generations of NASCAR fans go back and watch old videos to find out and learn who Matt Kenseth was, it will be with the yellow and black of DeWalt. But in 2002, Silly Season almost changed NASCAR history as we know it. It was almost a wrinkle. Matt Kenseth and DeWalt almost divorced before the peak of their relationship. So 2002, it was the 3rd year of Matt Kenseth in the NASCAR Cup Series, racing for Roush Racing with DeWalt as his anchor sponsor. 3 months in, it looked like it was going to be a special one, as with Robbie Reiser, Matt Kenseth was able to dominate both Rockingham and Texas in the spring to score 2 wins on the year, and he was second in the point standings. This had all the makings of a 180 in performance, but despite that performance on the track, the pedigree that we saw from Matt Kenseth in this junior year, there were some unsettled things off the track that really dampened the longevity of the health of this team. Like they say, like sand through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. The same goes with sports contracts, as nothing lasts forever, except Jeff Gordon's lifelong contract with Hendrick Motorsports that saw him remain as the driver of the 24, become a car owner, and then eventually take over as VP in 2022. So there are some exceptions to this rule, but it is not the norm. DeWalt's contract with Roush Racing was not one of those exceptions. 2002 was the expiration date, and as part of the original deal signed back when Matt Kenseth joined the team, DeWalt was chastised to only negotiate with Roush Racing until June 1st of that year. Well, the 17 team was in Dover, Delaware, practicing and qualifying for the upcoming race without the money to sponsor that car for the 2003 season. DeWalt officially could explore the garage and find out what other rivaling organizations had to offer. So we all know how Silly Season works. We've seen all these crazy moves in the past. It has a chaotic nature, and you have some crazy rumors that sometimes you think are fan fiction, but they end up coming reality. The Monday after Dover, which saw Matt Kenseth lose his chance to win that race after an incident, the rumor mill also suggested that he could lose his sponsor. The LTN radio show in Milwaukee reported that DeWalt Tools was in negotiations with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated to sponsor one of their 3 teams. This was also an organization that was putting its puzzle pieces together for the 2003 season around this time, as June 15th was the deadline to renew the contracts for both Michael Waltrip and Steve Park, 2 drivers that were considered on the hot seat within the organization. Michael Waltrip's seat was red hot, and it was just like the sensation when you taste some Frank's Red Hot sauce. It was like that because he was inconsistent. He needed to improve his finishes, which was reiterated by Dale Earnhardt Jr. during the meetings. For Park, his injury from Darlington last September caused a rift in the chemistry between he and his teammates. The road to recovery was also rough. It was extremely rough waters, recording just 1 top 20 on the year after returning to the car, ironically at the spring Darlington race. When it came to Steve Park, his stance was clear. I'm gonna race. Either this team is going to win with me here or I'm going to beat them. Dale Earnhardt Incorporated had a lot of uncertainty, and that also included the organization itself, as there were rumors that the team was going to be sold. And honestly, I don't think sponsoring a car on Dale Earnhardt Incorporated was DeWalt's main goal. Keep in mind just who drives for DEI. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the son of Dale Earnhardt Jr., the Intimidator. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the man that took over the superstar role after his father's death by appearing on Rolling Stone and Playboy magazines. A Dale Earnhardt Jr., in many ways that was the celebrity of NASCAR, and he had something that Matt Kenseth did not: exposure and an entire nation of fans. Did I also mention this is Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Just to be the official tool brand of Dale Earnhardt Jr., and to have a small logo on his fire suit was worth a lot in this era of NASCAR. Still, for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, they needed to make decisions. They had a lot to make, and they ultimately needed more time to get deals done for their 3-car operation. Ty Norris, DEI's manager, postponed the deadline to re-sign Michael Waltrip and Steve Park by another 3 weeks, stating, "We had set June 15 as a target date, and we're a little behind. But it is not the end of the world. The world is not coming to an end," something like that. And potentially this right here was the best news for Roush Racing, because a few days after the announcement, they had an agreement with DeWalt. Though the deal was still getting finalized, they were putting the pieces together. President Jeff Smith declared a victory statement. Now you can take DeWalt and Matt Kenseth out of the rumor mill. So DeWalt had chosen their curtain they had signed for 2003, and the new deal would end up featuring an option for 2004. So let's make a deal style. We've got to find out what was behind the curtain. As for the two DEI teams for curtain number 15, it's a Daytona 500 championship with Michael Waltrip and a 15th place finish in the points. Michael Waltrip would end up improving his results a little bit. Still, he was not a contender for the championship. Though the Harley J. Earl Trophy and all the exposure that the sponsor gets when your car wins the race, that is something that's quite nice in the short term. Now let's look behind curtain number 1. It was an absolute zonk. Steve Park never recovered and was essentially traded to Richard Childress Racing for Jeff Green midway through the season, and DeWalt here, they dodged an absolute bullet. And as for the one DeWalt chose, what would be behind curtain number 17? It turned out to be the championship, the 2003 championship with Matt Kenseth, as he would put together a historic season with the final Winston-style NASCAR Cup Series championship. DeWalt for sure chose the best curtain, but had they chosen the one at DEI, it could have changed their entire trajectory in NASCAR. Maybe even Matt Kenseth, as honestly, I do not think that he would have struggled to find a new sponsor should DeWalt have left, as you got plenty of companies that probably would have seen his results and would have said, hey, that's DeWalt's loss, we're going to fund this guy to death. In the short term, the 17 team has that company to funnel money, but maybe down the road, Matt Kenseth ends up running into sponsorship issues sooner than when he did in 2012, and leaves sooner than he did in 2012 to move to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2013. Yeah, so that right there is just one of the crazy silly season situations that could have played out in NASCAR history, and it is crazy to think that DeWalt, yes, even a sponsor that had some success in 2002 and 2003, was on the brink of leaving Matt Kenseth for supposed greener pastures that turned out to be fake. So anyways, this is Nathan for NRF Productions signing out, and just remember guys and gals, life's a beach and then you drive.